I live on Long Island, New York. When I was a kid, our block used to throw a yearly block party. I had a few friends on the block that were in my grade, Mike and Danny. We would always hang out together at these block parties. My neighbors would go all out. There would be tables of baked goods, catered food. Some neighbors even had tables of alcohol out. Of course, we were like 13. No one was going to let us drink at that age. It was a Saturday, and people were setting up for the block party early in the day. The street was already closed off. It didn't really pick up until around 3. The three of us invited some other friends to come, and most of the day we were just messing around on the blow-up attractions or just eating people's baked goods. Eventually, some of our other friends left and it got dark, but the party wouldn't end until late at night. Danny and I started joking about how I could beat him at MLB, and while Mike and one of our other friends named Steve were somewhere else on the block, Danny and I decided to take a break from the block party and play each other in MLB. About an hour later, we went back outside to look for Mike and Steve. We ran into Steve, who said Mike went into his house like forever ago and didn't come out. So we walked through the block party down to Mike's house and saw his parents, who told us he went inside. We saw his bedroom light was on and he was standing at his window. We started waving at him to come down. It didn't seem like he even noticed us though. Screaming over the blasting music would be kind of useless, so instead I said let's just go inside his house. We walked over to the stoop and tried the door, but it was locked. So we went around back to try the back door. This one was actually unlocked, so we let ourselves in to find Mike and tell him to come back outside. Naturally, we went right up the stairs towards his room. His door was cracked open, and naturally I went to push it open expecting him to be in there. Instead, there was this tall man standing by the window looking outside, his hands resting on the windowsill. I backed up away from the door, frightened but more so confused. I knew Mike's family and I had no idea who this guy was. I backed away from the door and signaled for the other two to be quiet. I told them to go downstairs in as quiet a voice as I could. We didn't know if that was one of Mike's relatives or not. But either way, it was rude of us to barge into Mike's house like that, and we didn't want any relatives we didn't know to catch us. We left and went outside back to Mike's parents to ask who the man inside at the window was. They looked up at the window of their son's bedroom, and Mike's mom let out a short scream, followed by his dad running towards the house to unlock the front door. We watched as the man standing at the window turned and disappeared, as we stood there waiting in anticipation. A crowd started to form, and it became a scene as people were asking what was going on. 5 minutes later, Mike and his dad came outside to the crowd. He had already called the cops. Mike was apparently hiding in his closet after he saw a random man from his room walking up the stairs. The block party was shut down early, and the cops pulled up briefly. They searched the house with Mike's dad, but couldn't find a man anywhere. I remember going home that night scared shitless, and I could only imagine at the time how scared Mike must have been. I woke up in the middle of the night and my mouth was really dry, so I went downstairs to get some ice water. As I shut the fridge, I noticed something through the curtain in the kitchen. There's a light on the side of the house above the kitchen window that stays on all night, and it was exposing some shadow that wasn't usually there, shaped like a person. I knew better than to lift that curtain. I went straight to my parents' room and woke my dad up, who heard about the event that took place earlier down the street. He came down to look, but when we got to the kitchen, the shadow outside the window was gone, which confirmed it was a person. My dad went outside to run around the property real quick, finding no one. I don't know if he fully took me seriously and believed I saw a shadow, because for some reason he didn't want to call the cops. I like to think I'm pretty sure that was the same man outside the window that night. What were the chances there could be such a coincidence that same night? I slept with one eye open that night.